And thank you for staying with us on Daybreak Extra. As usual, I'm not alone, but with my co-anchor, Fatima Musa. Good morning, Fatima.
Good morning, Fatima Musa. Fatima Ahmed. Okay, anyone. How are you, Sumaya?
I'm fine.
You're looking beautiful.
I appreciate. As usual, you're representing the typical
Arewa. The color. Similar.
I mean, it's the spirit. We do telepathic kind of thing.
You know, and I think I will have to come to your house to pack all your things and change your wardrobe. Maybe. Good morning, Nigeria. I'm Fatima Ahmed Musa. Thank you so much for joining us. So, Sumaya,
we seem to have a lot of things happening in the front pages of the national dailies, and one thing that is a replica to everything is the hardship that we're going through in the country, where everybody is coming out to advocate for the government to do something. Well, we'll start by taking a look at the front page of the Daily Trust Saturday this morning. The major story here says northern youths seek relief in Middle East and North Africa. Okay, and also there is a make fortunes from travel agency, tailoring, and others. We also face a dire situation in Qatar. Now, I'm curious, to read deep to understand what this whole story is all about, considering there is also a talk about we also face that situation in Qatar. You'll find this story on page 5 and 6 of the Daily Trust newspaper there. I mean, northern youth seek relief in Middle East. We all know how, northern Nigerians, considering when you look at the south west, that you find them a lot in England, you find them a lot in that part of the world, the European part. But then the Arewa people more, they get attracted or more navigate their way through the Middle East of and also North Africa. We're talking about somewhere like Somalia and all that, then the Middle East, Qatar, and the rest. So they find themselves in that kind of place. So right now they're saying that there's a lot of issues also going on there. So if you want a deep story on that, of course, you can pick the Daily Trust newspaper. Below the headmaster, it says federal government negotiating the AFCFTAs about $3.4 trillion to boost economy. That's according to Minister. You find that news on page 4. Hardship. Labour declares a nationwide protest and threatens indefinite strike action. You also find that on page 4. One thing that we've seen all through, I want to say the week, but then we've seen the back and forth since the assuming of position of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in office with the NLC about the minimum wage, the insecurity, but then mostly the minimum wage, and also pushing for what they want when it comes to the increment of a salary to help cushion the effects of the subsidy removal. But then all of that has been a chaos of back and forth with no result yielding from that conversation between the NLC, TUC, and the federal government, and it's causing more hardship. I mean, this week we saw the NLC coming out to demand a 1 million naira minimum wage for every worker in Nigeria. But then one thing people were looking at was people were laughing at that kind of thing. But one thing is clear. We all know that, yes, at this point, people should be earning that much in order to match up, with the demands of whatever they have in life. But then the main issue here is that the NLC has been pushing a lot for the increment of salaries for since when? And it never worked. And then right now, we haven't even pushed it to 100,000. From 36. So now they're demanding a million. People are seeing it as though something that the federal government cannot do, which is, something that definitely should leak into. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about negotiation, back and forth until there is a bit of compromise from both parties. Next, we have Usman Lanesi, the thought that he was Hausa, not knowing that he had Yoruba roots. You find that on page 26 and 27. On the feature segment, you see how Nigerians in Nigeria are faring after countries exit from ECOWAS. You find that on page 3. I don't think it's going to affect them if they're in Nigeria. Of course, nobody is going to come and say, oh, because you are Nigerian, definitely you're not part of ECOWAS, so we don't like you anymore. But then you get to hear their side. I mean, they will definitely be affected from the angle of what their family people are going through in Niger. So we could hear that feedback. If you want that, you catch that on page 3. Court orders federal government to reopen Giwa's murder case. Okay, you find that on page 8. Police officers who rejected 8.5 million naira bribe from kidnappers rewarded. I mean, that is an accolade that, of course, should be appreciated.
Even though a bounty was placed, 20 million, I wasn't expecting that much before he could come out. I kind of feel when bounties are being placed on kidnappers or terrorists, people would tend to bring them out. That shouldn't be so, because this is the safety of the citizens and everyone involved. We all need that safety. So there shouldn't be any bounty before you fish out.
You should fish out
criminals that are perpetrating and causing harm to people's lives and loved ones. So I think even though it's an achievement, I just feel it should be more.
No, but there should be a reward for it. I mean, one thing is for sure, it's not like we're saying reward everybody, but then when you motivate people to do the right thing, then of course people would feel motivated seeing other people do it, and one way or another. I mean, you shouldn't even wait or expect a result or something like a gift for doing the right thing.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what Fatima is saying. But yeah, anyway, we appreciate the fact that they were rewarded, to know that good thing or good work always pay. There's a pictorial here saying the AGESNUC Chris Meyaki and Senator Baba Ahmed touring new projects at Bayes University on Thursday, on 15th of February 2024. Now, these are some of the stories on the Daily Trust Saturday.
Okay, so let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper this morning. The major story there says killings, police vigilantes tighten security around traditional rulers. You can find that story on page 24 and 25. Okay, so halts southeast slide into Anomi. Residents charge tinubu governors. You can find that story on page 2. The writers there says Tinubu sets up tax reform committee, names Oyedele chairman. You can find that story on page 3. Police kills 6 suspected kidnappers. Arrest 6, rescue 2 kidnapped victims in Rivers. You can find that story on page 7. And 805 million frauds. Supreme Court.
All right, I think that's the much you can take on the Guardian newspaper. You can pick a copy and get a lot of stories there. All right, let's move on to more stories that we have here. All right, so let's move on to more stories that we have here. We seem to have a bit of, mistaking of old newspapers to today's own. All right, the leadership weekend here is saying that hardship. NLC begins the nationwide protest on February 27. We have Senegal court blocks President Macky Sall bid to delay poll. Now, a lot of things have been happening in Senegal, Fatima, where we saw Macky Sall, postponed elections, and people are saying that's like a push for, monarchy, also that is affecting a lot of people. But this kind of things is definitely not accepted, and it's affecting, of course, how should I say it? It's affecting how people are viewing ECOWAS, because if they cannot control a member like this, then there should be a problem about, the bloc in general. So we hope that something is done on that part. Someone cannot just go ahead and make decisions like that, which is already bringing a bit of fear on that one. Below the headmass of the leadership weekend, we have Nigeria gets $30 billion investment commitment from foreign firms. You find that story on page 7. Harsh economy. Business operators lament mass small and medium enterprises collapse. And now, if there is one thing that definitely I would agree on, is that, when you meet people that are small and medium business owners, every day, due to the foreign exchange rates, every day the prices are just fluctuating. They're just going up. I mean, even people that import things from China are also affected on a mass base, and it's really not looking good for the economy. One thing that is certain is that the federal government cannot, create job for everyone. So now Nigerian youths are rising up to the occasion of getting side hustles, having small and medium businesses, and if now that is also in jeopardy, it's affecting them, then something is wrong somewhere, and something needs to be done fast, for the growth of the Nigerian economy. A major story here says power sector privatization. The discourse reeling on the 3 trillion naira debt 10 years after only 3 of 11 power firms profitable, NERC approved capital expenditure, and also undermines operations. There's been a lot with the power struggle, energy, and all that's happening in Nigeria. We hope that the distribution company would do better. I mean, the debt of 10 years, about 3 trillion, is too much. We have on inflation, federal government shut Sahad stores over hike in prices, and other stores removing price tax. We find out on page 7. Yeah, we saw how Sahad stores was closed. That's the one in area 11, and it was due to the price that has increased. The hike was too much, and then other stores are now removing their price tags, which definitely it's kind of a two-way thing, because when you look at these people, you know that they are also getting new products. But then before, I know stores, whenever they get new products and the price is different, they would definitely put it in a different shelf to show you that this one it's a new one, so it comes with a new price, and then the other ones with the old price, and people will rush the old stock until it's finished first before they reached out to the new one. But then something is wrong, for the federal government to make this decision. And of course, it's also something that Nigerians would appreciate, considering the hardship in the economy. Then price control is something that should definitely be looked into. Below the belt, we have court orders AGF to reopen case of Dele Giwa. Police nab wanted kidnapper in FCT. Kudos to them there. These are some of the stories on the leadership weekend.
Okay, so let's take a look at this day this morning. And the major story there says, Senate, NAS ready to legislate on state police if it will address current challenges. You can find that story on page 5. And then FG pleads as NLC declares 2-day nationwide protest over growing economic hardship, insecurity. And Labour charges government to introduce policies to address the workers' sufferings. Naira depreciates further to 1,620 on the parallel FX markets. You can find that story on page 5. And then above the belt there, the Uzoka Aniti announces 30 billion foreign investment commitment in 8 months. Reveals she'll to expand operation in Nigeria. Nigeria bottling company to invest 1 billion in 5 years. And you can find that story on this day this morning. Fubara Eno Oti Keyamo Obeagbene sympathize with Herbert Wige's parents. You can find that story on page 3. And then there's a pictorial of the the governors going to condole with the family. And I think that's it for this day this morning.
It's a really sad picture.
Yes.
I mean, one thing is for sure, when it comes to loss of loved one, it's all around based on whether you're poor or rich is the same. And the heart of a mother watching her child die, it's really, really a sad situation. But then, Fatih, about the state police situation happening, the discussion also, it has been pushed for the longest time that the federal government should also talk with the state for them to even have their own. That way they can
state police,
exactly.
the vigilantes that can, safeguard the people of the community in states.
Indeed. And one thing is for sure. I mean, we've seen how the federal security has come up to say that they don't have enough hands, and they need intel almost most of the time to say, okay, if you have any information that you can share with us and all that. But then one thing is also certain, that deep down, when you go to the villages, people tend to know who is doing that.
Yes,
exactly.
That's exactly the point. Nasarawa State's already imposing the vigilantes a couple of months ago, I think, or last month, or would I say. And that's a sign that the states, governments are actually taking the initiative to see that they come up with state police in the states. And like we said, the community, the vigilantes are very important because they know these people, somehow, somewhere. They know the faces, they know who is doing this. And
the informants are always amongst the community.
Exactly. So, and they tend to suffer the most, the people in the community who are, the less privileged, that they have to.
Yeah, as they call it, rural insecurity.
Exactly.
So definitely, they have the zeal to come out and say, yes,
protect themselves from all this, kidnappings and criminal activities going on in those communities. And definitely, now they are coming into town, the capital city. So it shows that they are actually ready.
Nowhere is safe.
Nowhere is safe, actually. So we just hope that, this works. And at least we applaud the president and the governors for taking the initiative.
Indeed. So, and the Senate are saying that they are ready to legislate on the state police if it will address current challenges, which a lot of experts have said that it will or it should. And we've seen how states like Katsina State have also started the initiative. I mean, they started it before anybody due to the insecurity happening in that particular state. And it was even looking like it's progressive. And I mean, people are seeing the progress in all of that decision from the governor of Katsina. And we hope that other states will take the initiative. There will be a standard way of making these things happen to make life easy for Nigerians, because insecurity is eating deep. We're giving kudos to the security agency, getting these perpetrators. I mean, we saw how a kidnapper in the FCT was apprehended, and of course we hope that he's served.
And then others are going to be fished out just like he is. So,
it has been going on because people have been getting away with it for the longest time. So when they see that definitely you cannot get away with it, then it will definitely go down. It's so sad that the insecurity is spreading from the north to the southwest region. We've seen Ekiti battle through,
and there's a lot of back and forth with the one chance also, attacks also being carried out in the FCT. And I hope you will get the government gets the catch, or the minister gets to apprehend one, and they'll show an example of what's going to happen to people that are doing all that to people, because some people close late from work and they have to use the public transport to go back home, and they want to reach home safe, and then they find themselves
in my country
in that kind of situation. It's really a sad one for everyone.
It is. All right, let's move on to Saturday Vanguard. At the top of the page, we have the entertainment segment where the minister Musawa explores greater ways for Nigerian superstars. Yeah, we saw her in the Grammy red carpet talking about entertainment, and it's good, that we're seeing a minister doing exactly what they should do. This is the first time we're seeing, that kind of move from her side, and it's a really great start. Economic hardship, NLC declares two-day protest and warns indefinite nationwide strike over failed pacts with the federal government. Federal government secure $30 billion investment commitments, that's according to minister, to create job centers nationwide. You find that on page 8. It's a great one. They keep saying we should not talk about the insecurity, that we should make Nigeria more beautiful for investors to come in. But then if the country is great, then definitely investors would come. We wouldn't need to go and get investors. If the country is lovely, they listen. Anybody that has money, exactly, they watch. They are like headhunters. They watch and see what country is economic is doing great, and they would definitely come like flies when your country is really good. So it's a great start. We hope that it sticks, and we hope to see more of that. Court orders federal government to reopen probe and trial of killers of Daily Giwa, other journalists. You find that on page 9. Lead story, how illegal miners wreak havoc on Nigeria. That's according to investigation. Russians, Chinese deep in the illegal business. Okay, writers are saying mineral-rich communities lament illegal mining, fueling banditry, destroying environment, and farmers abandon farms, students drop out of school. I mean, Fatima, one of the major things that people have been pushing to talk about is the fact that, you know, the mining is also a top cause of insecurity, because there's a lot of minerals resources down, you know, beneath the ground that a lot of villages are on, and it's causing a lot of that. But then the most funny part about all of this, or intriguing or annoying part of it, is that Russians and Chinese would find their way to our country, go to our villages, start getting mineral resources from us, and we're supposed to believe that somebody is not aware. I mean, how is that even possible? A Nigerian cannot just travel to somewhere and to another country and have that much power. I mean, before you even enter, you have to have the necessary visa. They want to know if you're on business. I mean, if you're not, they want to see what you're doing and all of that stuff. But then we here, we give access to people to easily come in and steal from us, you know, and go ahead to build their own country while we're still stuck in the same situation. And the most annoying part is the fact that it's bringing a lot of chaos. I mean, with insecurity happening, a lot of ways have been made to show the main picture of what is going on. I mean, we've seen, you know, the Nollywood, Kannywood coming together to create a picture of exactly this kind of scenario happening, of people coming to do illegal mining, and then they would push, even though it's still alleged. But then there is an investigation that has been done that is proven this. So if you want to get the main details, you know, of that, you can.
And let me just say something, you know,
Vanguard Saturday.
Yeah, the Delegiwa's issue, you know, is someone that was assassinated in 19th October 1986. That's like almost 38 years ago. And it's sad that it's now that, you know, they are actually coming up to say, oh, investigations, yeah, and you know, should be carried out. We hope that, you know, there are other people that were assassinated, not just Delegiwa. The justice will be done. You know, sometimes cases like that takes time, but then it will come to light. Just like the issue with Tupac's, you know, assassination as well. And then after 27 years or how many years, and then
they caught one person, even though the investigation is still ongoing.
It's still ongoing.
Yeah, but the Delegiwa one is coming out because now journalists are asking the right questions. I mean, we know how journalists are
just don't like the fact that it took this long, you know, for the right questions to be asked and then the right thing to be done. You know,
funny enough, we're talking about 38 years ago. If you go back, journalists were scared to say some certain things. You know, there wasn't that much freedom. There was a lot of hush. Well, you know something, but you cannot say it.
Because your life will be threatened.
Exactly. And we know how there's always a blame game of the media. Any small little thing, they'll be like, oh, the media are the one portraying the story. Yes, you know what we're going through.
Yeah.
So that kind of situation has made a lot of journalists lost their life. And then, of course, this probe, bringing back this trial, a rerun on that particular thing is something that, of course, should be done. It's really encouraged from our part. Everybody should feel safe for doing the right thing. And then we're trying, of course, the mainstream media is trying to bring factual news, so every journalist should feel safe doing the right thing. All right, we have the Wigwe, his most treasured possessions, how he would like to be remembered. Clerics go spiritual as sunset in his Isiokbo community. Really sad situation there. We have a feature of Nkechi Blessing Sunday, a very controversial social media personality, and also we have Sharon Francis sit down on that. So if you want to watch the feature, then of course you can see that these are some of the stories on the Saturday Vanguard.
Okay, so let's quickly take a look at the Guardian this morning. And the major story there says, killings, police vigilante tighten security around traditional rulers. You can find that story on page 24 and 25. And then below the major story there, stakeholders comment Tinubu, government's move to create state police. You can find that story on page 2. FD has attracted 30 billion foreign direct investment so far. Minister reveals. You can find that story on page 2. Court orders AGF to reopen prosecution of Delegiwa's alleged killers. You can find that story on page 3. Zulum promises to tackle challenges confronting Borno State. You can find that story on page 29. And then above the belt, you can see that Abdurrahman Abdul Razak quietly restoring industrial status of Kwara State. You can find that story on page 4. The Guardian Woman, reminding women of their power to create change will inspire them to big dreams. You can find that story on page 15, and that's said by Louisa Kiwana Olafuyi. So that's it for the Guardian this morning. I think that's just the much that we can take, you know. So